So it's those three things. And today's sort of an introduction to all of that. So I have been performing since I was about 5 years old. And I started writing songs when I was a teenager. And I had a lifetime of touring and writing songs and recording from a very young age. And my memory of being younger doing music was just total self-expression, wide open heart, excited. It just always felt good. And it was so obvious. I have a video of myself when I was, I think, 3, singing and dancing to the Jungle Book with a whole group of people around me watching me. So it was really clear from a young age that the stage was my natural place to be. When I was in college, my first year of college, I started getting really obsessed with proving myself. I was in a very male-dominated music program, and I had a lot of different experiences of feeling really inferior in my musicianship. And so I started practicing long hours. I would literally lock myself in a practice room for 5 hours and not come out and run through piece after piece after piece on my violin. So I'm a violinist as well as a singer. Okay? And I did that to the point of actually injuring myself. So I got carpal tunnel syndrome, which is a wrist injury that literally caused me to have to stop playing for 9 months, and I was maybe told for life. So it was a really dark time of my life. And when that happened, simultaneously, I really decided that I didn't have what it took to be a musician. That I couldn't practice the hours, I wasn't good enough, all of those stories that had kind of already been there a little bit creeping up through adolescence just came totally to the forefront. And I completely lost my confidence. I also lost my sense of self as a musician, like what kind of music I even wanted to make, what it was like to perform, be a songwriter. And then began a long, deep, deep healing practice, or healing journey, practice and journey. And it involved a lot of different things and some really, really amazing teachers that I'm grateful for sure. And so I healed physically and mostly emotionally. I started getting some confidence back. But then as I started performing again, what happened was I couldn't get back to that free, joyful, childlike, confident way of really being there. And I didn't know why. Like, I'd healed physically, I thought I was okay, I believed in myself again a little bit, and I really didn't know why. And what I started noticing as I inquired into that was that I fell back into this way of pushing and proving and kind of aggressive way of performing that had caused the injury. So when I was on stage, instead of just feeling wide open and connecting with the audience, I would feel my intense stage fright, my nervousness, and I would start to push and force and kind of that everyth's fine, I'm just going to fake it till I make it, and I'll get through this. I can do it, right? And it felt terrible though. It didn't feel the way I knew it could feel, which was just easy and really connected. And for me, music's about connecting with people, so it felt just awful to have to hold it together in front of people instead of connecting with them. Okay? So so around that same time, I also started teaching. And I found that all of my adult women students were dealing with the same thing. We're dealing with being on stage, feeling connected and confident, and not having to push or prove themselves. And I thought, there's something here. What's going on with women? And so another little background, kind of jumping back, the other little piece of this, is that ever since I was a teenager, I would go to shows and I would ask the performers afterwards, how did you get to be to where you are? Like, how do I do that? I write songs, I perform, but how do I actually have a career? And none of them could tell me. And maybe it was like, oh, you just got to get out there and do it. And I kind of went, well, where do you start? Oh, you just book a show. How? Right? Yeah. So, and same thing, all of my teachers, and I have a degree in music, and all my teachers from school, no one could tell me, like, the nitty-gritty of being a singer-songwriter and getting out there. And then the nitty-gritty of how do you actually make money doing that and actually support yourself being an artist. Okay? No one could tell me. So, so I was kind of back to me kind of dealing with, well, how do you be connected on stage? I was looking at all my students, and they were all dealing with the same thing, and all my female friends who were musicians were saying the same thing, like, we don't know how to really have a career. How do we do that? And then I would go and talk to all the men, and they would be like, what do you think? You just go out there and do it. It's easy, like, just start. And so I started putting the two together and saying, well, there's something there for women around really being allowed to be women and be feminine and be powerful in that on stage and be powerful in putting ourselves out there. And that was really how SSOL was born. Okay? So as I started figuring this out and teaching it, and what I'm talking about, we're going to really get into what all that is, okay? But I started working with an amazing mentor, Micah McLaren, and she is a founder of what she calls Women in Community, which is WINC. And she is a business mentor who brings women together in community to work on their businesses. And in talking to her, it sort of clicked for me two things. One, that to be musicians and singers is that we are a business. There's kind of no way around it if you want to play shows. Now, it's totally appropriate to love to sing and be a singer and not play out publicly. I really honor that choice for people, okay? But if you want to really play shows and get out there and make a living at it, any space in between, you are a business. You have to be, okay? And then the other piece was that I was in these programs with her, and I was so nurtured by being with other women and getting to come together in circles and process what was going on for me, that whether or not it was unique to being a woman, something about the support of other women was magical. And so I said, this is what I want to do with other women. Okay? And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay? So the core principle of She Sings Out Loud is that to be powerful on stage, we actually have to be able to be comfortable receiving attention. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about what receiving means in a little while. Okay? We have to be able to receive. So it's relatively new phenomenon that women in our culture, and I don't know enough about your culture to speak to that, but I do know that worldwide as well, it's really, there are a lot of places where women don't get to have a voice in the world to this day. And in our culture, it's relatively new that we get to have a voice. It's really new. It's only a couple generations, right? Not even for some, you know? So the other piece of that is that it's often been unsafe when we have attention on us and uncomfortable. Unwanted attention from men. And if it's not unsafe, maybe we love to have attention on us. And as a child, we got to just express that and have attention on us. But as we got older, we were basically told that it was selfish to have attention on us, to want attention, to be the center of attention was selfish. It's almost like an insult. Like, why do you want to be the center of attention? You're always the center of attention. That's like an insult, right? I don't know if you know that, but it's kind of an insult. Okay. You want to be the center of attention. And you go, what's wrong with me? No, I don't. Okay. So, problem here is that when when we get on a stage, we are saying, see me and hear me. Okay? There's no way around it. That is what we are doing. So, before we can really feel confident on stage, and before we can really put ourselves out there to be professional musicians, we have to learn to receive attention. And we have to be able to say that we love having attention on us. Or work with whatever space we are. If you don't love it, what's missing? So you can start to love that space. Okay, and this is really what the basis of today is about, so we're going to get way more into that. So, okay, let's take a little look over here at this chart. So I've split this into two pieces of what it takes to be powerful on stage and off as a musician. So there's the receiving piece that I just talked about, and then there is offering. Okay, and this is going to become clear, and you should have a chart on there somewhere. So, what it really takes to be a musician is courage, confidence, and connection. Okay? And what is stopping us from having those three things is fear, our pushing or our proving of ourselves, doubt or caution, I don't matter, or my music doesn't matter, or I'm not good at music, whatever version that is, confusion, and disconnect. Okay, so these are the barriers, and we're going to flip them around and look at what we're actually wanting to work towards. But before we do that, you have your little self-evaluation. So just take a moment to do that.